has that meant for like your team overall? Like, in terms of like non-restaurant, like kind of the team supporting your GMs and all the restaurants.
Yeah. So we have a very small kind of support team or back office or a corporate office per se. So we don't have anybody doing, company payroll or anybody doing company AP. So we have a limited amount of support team members that are non kind of restaurant operational. So it allows us to stay small as we grow big. So as we grow bigger and bigger, we don't have to hire on as many back off support people to support the restaurants. Those people are already in the restaurant. So the restaurant manager, the leaders, the GMs, the kitchen managers, they do the payroll, they do the AP submissions, they do the inventory, balance and verify the sales page on their own. And that process takes, from counting inventory to submitting everything, takes about 3 hours total, but that's inventory counting is sometimes longer than it should, but that process is relatively short. And then you get a P&L turned around right away to you. And they do that in the restaurant, and we have support people helping them. Back office helps with support requests. But for the most part, it's in the restaurant and they handle all the admin type work, but it's really only 3 hours.
That's not bad. On the tips side of things, how did you handle tips before implementing TipHaus? Was it paying out cash? Were you on paychecks and whatnot?
Yeah, tips was very fun. It was, as most people know, growing up in the industry, you left with your cash tips. And as a server, bartender, busser, host, that was all awesome. And that was a lot of the reasons why people were in the industry was they left with their cash. Throughout the time, guests started spending more with credit cards, and so their credit card tips became higher and higher, and we as a company ended up having to pay out of our cash or out of our house banks servers cash to leave, and it just created problems with negative deposits and more headaches that way. So we went to TipHaus and found TipHaus, and they helped us with that process of putting tips on check and then partnering with back office to be able to make that process really automated and super easy. So I talked about the 3 hour process, but the tip and the payroll process for us on Monday mornings when we do it is about 15 minutes. So we use Toast that goes into the back office, the TipHaus that goes into the back office, and it prints out a report. And really, it's just verifying the information. And as I was talking to one of our leaders last week, I was like, hey, how long does payroll take you? She's like, it took about 15 minutes. And I was like, for everything? She's like, yeah, it was just verifying. And I had to change a couple of things, but it was pretty easy. And so that 15-minute process, which used to be an Excel sheet, you had to count all the money from tips. We did some tip pools for the heart of house. Write that as a deposit, then a little bit goes on the team members check, then most of the stuff went out to the bartenders, servers, expos in little envelopes, like here's $20 for this person, here's $20 for this person. And that process was difficult because it took time, but also there's just that human element of mistakes and the legality and all that. And so the process of adopting TipHaus was just made it way more streamlined, way more easier, and it got adopted relatively quickly with the tips on check as well.
That's good to hear.